Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel, and in this video we're having a quick look at why we don't want to invalidate our negative emotions, thoughts, fear, anxiety, stress, anything that causes us to feel sadness within. So I thought I'd bring this topic up, especially if anyone is on a personal development journey or a mindset development journey, and particularly for when we are manifesting and we're in a community of maybe watching videos or taking in other information from other people that are talking about manifestation. So, when we are creating outcomes in our world, in our reality, we know that it is all down to choice. It's all down to how we choose to believe and think about ourselves. So, when we are victimizing ourselves in our world, we do end up becoming a victim if we continue to do this. However, when we have emotions of sadness and stress and frustration and anger, or anything that makes us feel dis ease or separate from the body, don't invalidate these feelings. They are also a part of the process to manifestation. They do not mean that we are actually in those moments telling ourselves that we are a victim of anything that is going on in our world. What these emotions are part of our human experience to knowing that we exist. And when we invalidate them by reaffirming over positive affirmations, or perhaps we are doing things that are trying to brush it away and we are not actually allowing it to come up, we will cause disease within our body, and we will also cause a sense of separation from the whole within ourselves, the whole of what we feel in our experience in this world. So I wanted to talk a little bit about this because I know that when we are manifesting and we are coming into it, especially if we are a beginner, I know myself that I experienced this. And when I was beginning out on this journey a couple of years ago, I found myself becoming over cemented with guilt anytime that I fell off track from not affirming positively. This, in its sense, caused me to push down so many feelings that I was not allowing to address. I was not addressing things that were going on in my world, and I was brushing them aside, thinking that if I continued to just live in my head and not give any attention to what was going on in my reality, that everything will conform and change. Now, what I do want to say about this is, when we are manifesting, it is a way of choosing to think in a better perspective towards what it is that we are seeing in our reality and in our world. However, I want to stress that along my journey anyway, and my experience is, do not lose touch of reality as well. So I know that there was a topic going on within the manifesting community about being delusional, and I don't really like that word in itself when it comes to manifesting, because manifesting is here and now. We're always manifesting, and everything we do on a moment to moment basis is a manifestation of who we are and what we believe and think to be true. So the term delusional is, in itself, I would suggest that it's losing touch of reality. And really, in a sense, manifestation is reality because it's who we are. So using the term delusional on a manifesting concept is, from my own interpretation, not the right way to go about it. Manifesting for me, as I evolve and become more intuitive to what I am thinking and what I am feeling, is a process to an outcome that I desire. And it's a logical way of me seeing how to see things in a better perspective in order for me to experience it in a better outcome. So I want to talk about our emotions. So when we are dealing with feelings of anger and anxiety and stress and anything that we cultivate as seeming negative, it's negative in a sense of how it does not feel good within our bodies. However, I want to say that when we do feel these emotions, yes, we do self-regulated things like mindfulness and breath work and seeing things, as I say, a positive perspective. We also want to understand that we have organs within our body that need to release and let go of these emotions that we hold within. And the reason why I say this is because from my own experience, I also have recently discovered that I had in the past there, just last year, a little kind of a health thing that manifested. And a friend of mine suggested to look at Louise Hay. Anyone who knows Louise Hay was a former motivational speaker and writer. And she had written down every single ailment or disease that you would get from certain emotions that you feel, and that what part of your body that they will target. And when I looked at the emotion that was relatable to the health thing that I actually manifested, it was spot on. It was suppressing down any feelings of frustration and anger or dis-ease that I was feeling, and I manifested it then to come into a health thing that was disease within my body. Now, this happened over time. I'm doing so much better now. I think when you identify everything, it goes away then as well. So identifying it is the main thing for the process of healing. And what I noticed as well too now is that I am not invalidating my emotions anymore. So the way that I look at it now is I have developed an understanding of emotions. So when we actually start off on this journey and we feel all these feelings of sadness and negativity and anything that we are feeling along the way, understand that it's part of what we are experiencing. And if we are not validating them, we are never going to be able to elevate to higher levels of love, because when we don't understand these emotions and their time for being there, how are we ever going to understand the true meaning of love? It's like if I never was in the dark, how am I going to understand the light in its sense? So when we are manifesting, we are experiencing everything through our senses, and even the thoughts that we choose to think are coming from our senses. So we may consciously choose to think a thought, a positive thought, but the only reason why we are consciously choosing to do that is because through a memory of our senses, this told us it was a good experience to feel in the past. So everything that we are actually creating in our mind, every thought that we are creating in order to manifest a better way of being, is coming from a memorized feeling of goodness and love that we have already experienced in the past. Now, the paradox is a great powerful tool in this perspective, because if we have already experienced this feeling of joy or gladness or happiness or love in the past, it means that we are experiencing it now, right now. We're also experiencing it in a time in the future, because everything is right here and right now. So when we come back into our negative feelings and our frustration and all of these feelings that we get, we can feel them in the moment, but we also want to then let them go and then come into our understanding and find the perception of what is good about them as well too. So I was in a recent call there over the weekend, and it was with this company that were taking on people for auditions for parts, and they put out the message about rejection along that journey, and how rejection is a big part of getting to the desired result. So when the person was talking about this, she was on about, you wouldn't believe the amount of negative messages and emails that they would get from people who didn't get the part that they auditioned for, or they would be harassing them with, not so nice emails and comments. So what stood out to me was that she said that her and her colleagues would actually print out these emails or messages, and they would put them up on the board in their office, and they would stand there and look at them until they could find something that they could laugh at. And once they did that, then they would let it go. They would laugh with one another, let it go, and then they would put it into the trash. And this stood out to me, because this is essentially what we are doing when we want to validate our emotions. It's not that we're sitting down and allowing ourselves to be victims about what is going on. We're sitting down and we're telling ourselves that it's okay to feel these emotions, because without these emotions, how would I ever know that I existed? However, as I continue to feel these emotions and I let them go, now I can come back to it and I can study it, and I can come from a more positive perception of why I was feeling this and why it is paramount to my journey. And the more I think that we actually see emotions from this term, from this side of things, the more we actually become stronger in ourselves. We become more capable of overcoming our circumstances, and we become more in tune with ourselves and with our bodies. We become more enlightened in a sense as well too, because if we have the consciousness to actually sit down and understand where this emotion is coming from, or why I am trying to suppress it down, we are actually leveling up more, because we are becoming more we're becoming more in tune with the frequency of the highest emotion, which is love. So I wanted to make a video on this to understand that we're human. Yes, we're manifesting all of the time. However, it doesn't mean that we don't have emotions. We are not robots to be walking around here and feeling that a feeling of anger or frustration or uh, sadness coming up within us, and then pushing it away and saying, "Oh no, I'm happy, I'm happy, I'm happy, I'm happy, I'm happy." While I know that these things do work and they are a great way for our mindset, we do want to understand that we are navigating through a body as well too. And if we are navigating through our body and through our senses, it's vital and it's very, very important that we understand never, never, never to invalidate our negative emotions and our thoughts. And the more that we do this, validate them, the more that we come into our authenticity, and the less and less and less they will come up in the future as well too. So I thought I'd make a video on that, and I will chat to you soon.